Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. It is November 9th, 2025. I'm Bryan McClain, also known as Hesher. I'll also be joined by Adam Clark today for this edition of the Sunday Wire. He's going to be popping in right now. Adam, welcome back to the Sunday Wire.
Gotta find my buttons. I have so many screens open. It's ridiculous, but that's what it is when you do this sort of thing, right, Hesher? So yeah, howdy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, I guess, in some cases. It's pretty much evening time now for the UK listeners, so there you go. They're starting to wind down. Their weekend is practically over. We still got a little time to party it up, though, after the show, Hesher, so that's great. Great news. Bad news for most of the folks around the world, unfortunately, living under the oppression of the West and Israel. But, you know, all that aside, I hope everyone else is doing all right out there, presuming you don't live under the oppression of the West or Israel, which good luck with that, right?
Yeah, right. Oh, look, we got new colors on the interface today. I did not approve that. That's not what we set out to do
It looks
here.
blue. Is that
Yeah,
what you're talking
why
about?
are we blue today? What is going on here?
I am feeling kind of blue. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I know. Current events will make you a little bit blue. Well, maybe I can fix that while we are in the
Well,
middle
you
of the
know,
stream here.
here
But
in
we like
America,
it.
Hesher, we did switch pretty quickly from the red wave to the blue wave in some cases. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I mean, we've had the elections. We've had this sort of what do they call this election? This weird little election. It's not a midterm
Midterms,
election.
isn't it though? I thought
Midterm?
it was. I think
We
so.
can't be at midterms yet. It's just the
I
first
don't know.
year. I don't know.
It's
State
just it's
election.
just America. We just love elections. We would have them every day if we could, right?
Yeah, we just throw random ones here and there. You know, November is a great time for elections. So even if it's not midterm season. So
Yeah, there's
yeah,
mayors. There were a bunch of mayors who were elected.
mayors, yeah. Stuff like that. I hear New York got a new mayor. People seem to be either really excited or really not excited about that.
Well, that was one of those classic examples going in. It's like the aliens from the episode of Simpsons where it's like it doesn't matter which one you vote for, you're still going to get like pure evil. You're basically just voting for the same people all the time. It's like I don't know. I was listening to Jimmy Dore the other day. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. And he says it doesn't matter who you vote for, you get John McCain when he was talking about the president because the policies of these people pretty much don't stray very far from their predecessor, even if they're whether it's a D or an R in their name, that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, true that. I saw that comment and I thought it was pretty funny as well. Whoever you vote for, you're going to get John McCain. But I think actually, maybe whoever you vote for, you're going to get Bibi Netanyahu in many cases here. At least that's the way it seems. Yeah, here
Oh,
we go.
especially
You're
when it
right.
comes to the foreign policy of all these countries. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Curious, thanks for reposting the stream. We appreciate the stream reposts over there on X and everywhere. What do you mean, no Patrick, no show? We are a show. We got a show for you here. Who knows? Maybe he'll even call in. We just don't know. Hi, fam. Yep. What's up? Good to see everybody piling into the chat rooms here. Speaking of times and this kind of stuff, Ruckus and I were trying to coordinate with Basil Valentine, and he's given us like UK times up here, half past this hour, and we're going. Well, we just had daylight savings here in the United States, so things are wonky by an hour until everybody else catches up. So we're in that season right now, the daylight savings season, where things are a little wonky over here. But we are hoping to hear from Basil today. Ruckus, it sounds like he might be able.
I'm pretty sure it's currently 5:30 p.m. In the UK, and so Basil will probably be able to join us in approximately an hour or so. So
All right. Okay, great. Well, that works for me. It'll be great if Basil joins us today. So, what do we got going on around the world, Ruckus? We had that crazy UPS plane crash here in the United States. First off, that was insane. I don't know if anybody saw the dash cam footage of that UPS plane crashing, but what tragedy that was. It looked like now they're saying 14 people have died, and the plane crashed on at least 2 businesses. So some people, maybe most of the people that perished were actually on the ground. That's pretty crazy, man.
It's a tragedy, obviously, and, a pretty serious accident, and accidents do happen vastly because of human error, which is a fact, but it is a fact that benefits the powers that be. They love it when these things happen. Never let a good tragedy go to waste, because this will ultimately serve the role of them being able to push forward the idea, well, we need less human intervention because they can make mistakes. But we have a brand new product to sell you. It's kind of an old product that we're repurposing, technically, because we're famous for doing that. In this case, it's not a medical intervention. It is a technological intervention. And here come the AI to help pilot planes. Or, in this instance, why does UPS need to be flying, Hesher? UPS is in the business of delivering packages. And last time I checked, it is 2025. These things can be delivered via drones. Definitely no human operators involved there. And even if one of these paltry little drones falls from the sky, it's probably not going to take out 14 people, unless, of course, that drone is made by, like Lucky Palmer. Isn't that the guy's name?
Yeah.
Anduril, or what's that company? Anduril, yeah.
Anduril, yeah, that's the one.
Wonderfully scary drones with explosive payloads. They're lovely.
Yeah. And what happened? Where's the Boeing uninterrupted autopilot in a situation like this? Shouldn't that thing kick in and stop something like this from going on? I mean, it's so weird how the what do they call that? The Boeing uninterrupted, the BUA, is that right? Do I have the acronym right? Boeing uninterrupted autopilot. Yeah, that's a whole thing. So we'll see. We'll see. Yes, people asking where Patrick is. He's on travel. He's on travel. Don't worry, Stuart. What's up, Stuart? Good to see you there, buddy. Great to see everybody in the chats. But yeah, where are we gonna head with this? Yeah, probably more automation, probably more AI. All that fun stuff. I mean, and of course, we're going to get a NIST report on that one. I wonder if they're going to give us any information. It's kind of been interesting the way that they've been sort of slow rolling any of the factual data on this. It's just a real simple plane crashed, who, what, when, where, who died, that kind of thing. But it's like only just yesterday I started seeing an actual death toll.
That's why I think there's something to this. They're going to make some sort of meal out of this story. I don't know exactly where they're going. I've just always guessed technocracy, because it usually is that way these days. But there's also been a lot of choke points going on right now with the whole aviation industry, the whole government shutdown. We are now on, like, holy crap, I lost track. That's how many days into this government shutdown here in the United States we are. This must be day 39, day 40, something like that. Holy moly, that's wild. Like, I mean, once we hit 42, what happens? Because, that is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Is that when all of our problems just magically fix themselves? Hopefully, day 42 of the U.S. government shutdown. I am skeptical in that area, but maybe that is one of the reasons that they're having some issues, because, again, a lot of these things do depend heavily on federally regulated agencies and groups. And investigators and things like that. So I don't know, and plus, let's never forget that, government moves slow all the time, unless, when it wants to move fast, it certainly can move at the speed of, like, warp speed, I might suggest, right? Sometimes the pen is mightier than the sword, some people have suggested, when it comes to getting things done in the White House. But anyways, that's another story. But there's, we got the FAA. They're concerned. There's issues right now with all of the travel, and the FAA has stepped in and said, look, we're not going to allow this many flights right now. It's unsafe. There's people who are not working. They're not getting paid. It's just an unsafe environment. So therefore, we're going to say you can't fly. So now they're just stepping in and cutting off everybody's travel again. Why do they always do this sort of thing? Always cause some sort of an issue. Have you noticed this? Around this time of year, what's coming up right around the corner in a couple of weeks? Oh, that's right. Thanksgiving, which is usually a fairly decent, busy travel season, if I'm not mistaken, Hesher. At least it was before, 5 years ago or so. during the pandemic. But and then of course you got the holiday shopping stuff going on, and UPS planes falling out of the sky, delivery issues, all of these things. Tariffs. I mean, this is all building up to probably a very disappointing, unhappy Christmas time. Ultimately, is what I suspect.
Could be. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see what Christmas looks like this year. Speaking of Christmas and all of that stuff, though, did you notice there was some tariffs talk going on this week? It looks like they've made a bit of a deal there, right? So a bit of a deal with China. So it looks like maybe some of your cheap Chinese baubles and microprocessors and stuff might actually work out this year. Maybe it won't be a 100% tariff on it. Did you see that, Ruckus?
No, they just change their mind about that every day, all the time. I can't even keep track of that stuff. And usually it's to the benefit of big tech companies. Again, it's always big tech related. So it's always about the chips, the minerals, the resources, this and that. It has nothing to do with the cheap goods that you might think that's going to pass on to the consumer. No, it's all stuff that benefits the higher, ranking folks, the elite, I guess they call them, or whatever. Investors, it makes investors happy. All of this tariff talk moves the markets. Like literally every time there's a decision made, it goes one way or the other, pumping and dumping.
Yeah, exactly. So what's happened here? President Trump reached a economic agreement with President Xi Jinping during a summit in South Korea just 8 days ago. I think it goes into effect tomorrow. And they're reporting that this deal has concessions from both sides. So China, they're saying, will suspend rare earth export controls. We know that the Trump administration is very, very interested in rare earth exports. They also say China is going to halt fentanyl precursor flows to the United States. What does that mean? Why is that? Okay. All right. Well, we'll just go with that. Ending retaliatory tariffs on U.S. agricultural products, including soybeans, wheat, corn, cotton, pork, and beef, and remove non-tariff countermeasures against U.S. semiconductor manufacturers. And in return, so many WTFs in here. The U.S. reduced its quote fentanyl tariff, the fentanyl tariff on Chinese goods from 20% down to 10%, and extended the reciprocal tariff rate at 10% for another year, which is preventing it from reverting to this 34% that it was at. So I don't know. Do you think this is a slight de-escalation in the tariff war with China here, Adam?
Sure. I guess now we can get our fentanyl cheaper. That's great. And I joke, but it's probably something ridiculous. It probably is not even technically related to fentanyl. They probably well, fentanyl contains all of these ingredients. Like we'll say there's 32 of them, and like this, China moves these two other ingredients that are used for a million different other uses, and we can say, hey, that's a precursor to it could be water for all we know.
Right, the precursor. Ooh, scary. Oh, those precursors. Yeah. And of course, no mention of the precursors going to Venezuela, right? And then somehow turning into the drug and then ending up on a narco boat that gets a drone strike on its forehead, right?
Well, the circle of life. That's how that works.
Bombs for peace, bombs for fentanyl, Yeah. Yeah, so we got that going. What else do we got? Russian forces maintaining their offensive in eastern Ukraine. So looking like there's been a lot of action in that area, northeastern Pokrovsk. I think that's near in the Donetsk area, perhaps. But yeah, they're saying the Ukrainian security service that they always tout the Ukrainians SBU, right? SBU units operating in the area killed over 1,500 Russian service members. I don't know where they're getting those numbers. I kind of have a hard time believing that, but looks like there is definitely renewed fighting, a lot of drone strikes and missiles, energy infrastructure going on. And of course, more. Still, I don't know, Ruckus. I thought we were gonna have this. I thought President Trump was gonna end this one within 2 weeks of becoming president. And this is a familiar span. This 2 week span is starting to feel like other 2 week spans that we've been promised, right?
Well, I mean, this thing's been going on for a while now. I mean, I forget when it's like officially been considered, but we all know it's been going on since was like 2014 ish.
Oh, we want to take it way back. Yeah, we could go back even further than that, but yeah, definitely.
But the recent conflict that has been bothering everybody, that's been going on for. I forget now. It's been a long time now. This is getting ridiculous.
We're building up to year 3, I think.
Trump said that he was going to end it with a phone call before he was elected. See, so like it's so ridiculous. And then here we are. And again, I mean, like, so I'm not saying that I would like to see this happening, but wasn't this supposed to kick off World War III? I don't know how many times I've been like placed on the edge of my seat in the past 3 years over this conflict. It's like, oh, I can't believe we did this and we gave them that. And now, like, oh, guess what Russia's going to do now? Like, it's just this nonstop. It reminds me of listening to Alex Jones back in the day, just constantly being like huddled in a corner, sucking my thumb, scared as AF, because they're going to nuke everybody. This is it. This is the big one. And then the Israel thing pops off and we're like, oh, well, no, this is definitely the one, right? It's always these type of, there you go. See, so what is going on here? I'm like, maybe I'm just upset because I might have some money on the poly market bets. I don't know if you can do this, Hesher, but you can bet on things like whether or not World War III is going to start. But anyways.
Oh, Basil would love that.
The thing is, I was betting that it was going to happen, and like, geez Louise, we're getting a little long in the day here, aren't we?
Yeah.
What's that expression? Crap or get off the pot, right?
Well, here's some new fear prawn for you, man. If your fears of World War III were starting to fade, don't worry. Here's a fresh headline for you. It's over at dreadedexpress.co. World War III fears explode over catastrophic nuclear incident after savage Russia attack. So there you go. A little more nuclear propaganda for you there, Ruckus.
Was it an attack on a nuclear power plant? Because they do that a lot, and there's always that, like, oh, this could be it. This is the big one. It's like that. What was that show where the guy was like, he faked to having a heart attack? And,
oh yeah.
Sanford and Sons. There we go. This is the big one. Yeah. That's what I feel like with all this fear prawn stuff all the time. And it is very serious stuff, but I mean, it just reminds you, like, okay, how serious are these people taking it? If we've been in an extended conflict now between Russia and Ukraine, with Ukraine getting a lot of help, and I mean a lot of help, a lot of money, a lot of weaponry, them doing all sorts of fun stuff with their drones. I mean, if we're to take all of this above board, you would think by now there would be some sort of decisive victory one way or the other. Somebody would have won. This would be over by themselves. Like, how can this keep going on? How can these countries keep having this amount of people to keep feeding into the meat grinders and these numbers that we're hearing about? And yes, we're seeing the press gang videos of them just like coming and tackling people up the streets and throwing them in a van while their wife and kids are crying, no, don't do that to grandpa who's 89 years old. You're like, what the heck is going on, right? But again, I mean, how long can that keep going on? The war has not been long enough to where there's now a whole new generation of like, oh, yeah, I remember when I was 5 years old, the war started, but now I'm a fighting age, 18 years old, and I'm going to go avenge the death of grandma or whatever, who was identified as a male and was sent to the front lines as a chief officer of the tank battalion or something like that.
Right. We're just never going to get away from duck and cover, right? Remember, what was that? It was about, I don't know. I feel like it was probably in 2023 or 2024. We covered that story during a Boiler Room episode about a public service announcement that went out from one of the New York state. I think it was actually New York City. I don't remember which which bureau it was, but they basically put out a what to do in the event of a nuclear strike. And it was so ridiculous. It was like the 21st century version of the old duck and cover, get under, about to get turned into a, atomic shadow. Well, get under your desk, duck under your desk and cover your head. But
except in this case, it said stay in your house and listen to the news. It literally said that.
Trusted authorities or something like that. They use some weird globalese to tell you, not to listen to podcasters. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. And it's like, how much money did the city put into that? What I would love to like be a fly on the wall at the meeting where like the city planners are like, what? We need a big YouTube PSA video about what to do in case of a nuclear strike. Are you kidding me? Like, okay, how much are we spending on that, guys? How much tax dollar money are we spending on that? Yeah. So strategy of tension, right? Like, gotta have that strategy of tension, gotta keep the nuclear conflagration specter fully gassed up, right? We got to have that in the back pocket at all times.
Got to do it, man. It's the American way.
That's how we roll here in America. We're ready for nuclear fallout. Going to get under the desks. And
I think it was their whatever they call their local version of an Office of an Emergency Management. So like a FEMA, but like on the state level.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was something like that. I don't know. I don't have the link handy. It was a couple years ago now, almost. But we are approaching. So yeah, the Russo-Ukrainian war began in February of 2014, still ongoing, and it was February
Wait,
of.
where do they admit that? They're actually admitting that somewhere online?
Yeah, it's actually in the Wikipedia, if you believe that.
You say that just a couple of years ago under the previous administration, and like, oh, you Russian bot, you get paid by Russia, you work for Russia. Like,
Yeah,
what?
Say that.
This is what it's just facts, Jack.
Yep. So February of 22 is when Russia launched the special military action. So we are rapidly approaching, the 3-year mark here.
Oh, we're approaching 4.
4, yeah. Sorry,
we're past the 3. Well past the 3. Yeah,
that's hard for me to even compute. We've been dealing with this story for almost 4 years now.
Well, but longer because we were all tracking it since like before, this is so silly. This is wild, man. But yeah,
here at the Wire, it's been more than a decade, pretty much. So yeah, but most normies didn't really get hip to it until everybody's Facebook icon turned to a Ukrainian flag, and they were all trying to figure out why we had so many Ukrainian flags flying on Capitol Hill. That was confusing for some people and exciting.
The whole thing didn't exist until it was the current thing to support, right?
Yep. There you go. We've got old school indoctrinated duck and cover. I remember that when I was in school in the 50s in New York City. Yeah. That's the one, the old duck and cover. Now it's duck and cover and go home and turn on the television, I guess. Duck and cover and go watch Fox News. Duck and cover and go watch, I don't know. Is MSNBC still around, or did they? Yeah, I guess so, probably.
Tune into your local mayor doing their podcast.
Oh my gosh, man. I have the distinct displeasure of being unable to not click in when I see Gavin Newsom on a podcast. I've never made it through an entire one because he frustrates me so much. But man, that guy, politicians on podcasts. I thought maybe we were getting somewhere with that concept. I was like, okay, cool. Let's get some of these guys in positions where, they're in longer form discussions. They don't have, all the earpieces and the boards to read off of and stuff, teleprompters and whatnot. But man, that guy, We're I think they're gonna make him president. I have a feeling they're gonna make him president at some point.
Hesher, and you're making comments about him being a guest on other people's podcasts. You
Well,
do
he has his
realize
own too. I
that he
know, I
has his
know.
own podcast that he
Yeah.
does.
The Gavin Newsom show, the Michelle Obama show. I mean, it's oh gosh, man. I don't know. I think I thought I would prefer them on podcasts. I thought it might expose them for who they are a little bit more, but at this point, I'm starting to think, no, you guys go back to just your Fox and CNN appearances because you're really polluting the podosphere here.
Like I told you in person last night, I said, can we just go back to a time when nobody even knew what a podcast was?
Yeah, I know. We
It
wanted
wasn't that
so
long
bad.
ago.
In 2014, we wanted so bad for people to know what we were doing. It's just like, and it's like podcasting. No one's going to do that. What are you talking about? What is this? It's some nerdy thing. And now, guess what? Your governor, your former first lady, all these people have a podcast. So,
And what is the vast majority of the news that we hear about every day surrounding is Tucker Carlson this, Joe Rogan that, Candace Owens this,
right?
Megyn Kelly that. It's all podcasts. It's pretty
Yep.
wild.
Well, that's what Newsom was doing on the one that I was watching. I don't remember which one it was. It was one of those like sort of urban oriented podcasts, but he was sitting there calling out Joe Rogan, trying to, bait Joe Rogan into bringing him onto his show and completely shining Sean Ryan, just putting Sean Ryan on a little pedestal. Of course you're going to put Sean Ryan on a little pedestal there, Mr. Newsom. He gave you the biggest softball podcast you could have ever asked for, man. Absolutely. Just oh, that guy he's so creepy, man. He's so creepy.
They both are.
Yeah. No kidding. What else do we got? Let's see. So, what's going on in Venezuela and all that? Well, they targeted another boat, right? They take out another narco boat, I think, in the last week or so here. I'm losing track of the narco boat grainy UAV footage, man. It's getting hard to track.
Did they take out a narco boat? Well, if you were to ask me, since I can't prove that they did, and I have a sneaky suspicion, well, those are not narco boats that they're blowing out of the water. I'm going to say that no narco boats have been destroyed as of yet. Just a bunch of fishing boats is my guess. But
Well,
yeah,
that's
no,
a
I
good
think
point.
we're up to
We've
number
seen
6
zero
or so.
proof, right? We've seen no proof of. I mean, what is left to provide proof after a UAV strikes a small boat? First off, it's probably nothing left. But yeah, trust it. You just gotta trust them, Ruckus. I mean, you gotta trust that if Pete Hegseth says it's a narco boat, it's a narco boat, right?
Yeah, here, let's get a quick little summary on this. Let's see if AI can keep track of this because this is pretty wild. So this all began on September 1st as part of a campaign targeting alleged drug traffickers, it says, under President Donald Trump's administration. The very first strike killed 11 people, 11, for all my numerologists out there, whom Trump identified. Who did? Trump. Trump identified. He said that they were members of the Trenda Argua cartel, a group designated by who? As a foreign terrorist organization. And then the U.S. government officially claimed without showing any proof that the vessel was transporting narcotics towards the United States in international waters. Let that sink in. Anyways, these operations have continued through September and October, with strikes occurring both in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. By November 6, 2025, 17 strikes at least that we know of have been carried out, resulting in the deaths of at least 65 people. Neat. Secretary of Defense, is he? I thought he was Secretary of War. So strike for you, AI. Secretary of whoever he is, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Fox News, confirmed several of these operations via his social media. Because that's how we do that now. It's not an official statement coming from the Pentagon. It's Pete Hegseth's Twitter account. Let that sink in. Stating that the targeted vessels were operated by designated terrorist organizations involved in narcotics trafficking. Does any of this sound real? They get all to any of you? Anyways, the strikes have drawn significant international criticism. Oh, well, that's probably not good. Venezuela, under President Nicolas Maduro, the terrorist, narco, bad madman, it doesn't say that, has denounced the actions as quote unquote imperial aggression. Well, that's what I suppose any one of us might refer to it, right, Hesher? Mobilizing 4.5 million militiamen in response and declaring the country at, quote, maximum preparedness, end quote. Well, if a military power such as the United States was just willy-nilly blowing fishermen's boats out of the water and trying to accuse me and my countrymen of being vicious, that's exactly what I would do. I'd probably get ready too and protect myself, right? Is anything that this guy doing or saying necessarily wrong? I don't know. I don't think so. Anyways, Colombian president, here's where it gets interesting. Gustavo Petro alleged that one of the victims was a Colombian fisherman, not a cartel member. A claim that the U.S. has, of course, dismissed because, that might make them look bad and maybe guilty of some sort of war crime. Human rights groups and international legal experts have questioned the legality of the strikes under both U.S. and international law, with some describing them, including my friend Sam Cheney on Weaponized News. Shout out to Sam Cheney. Extrajudicial killings. And there's the problem. No matter what this really is, Hesher, this is allowing this to happen is the foot in the door, the camel's nose in the tent, or whatever expression you want to use here. We're like, hey, it would appear that the American people and Congress and everybody at all different levels of our current government and administration seem okay with us willy-nilly, extrajudicially just blowing people to kingdom come. And that is a big problem, because if they can do it to them, how long before they could do it to you or I, Hesher? Mm-hmm.
Fishermen, yeah, a likely story. That's what they all say. All those narco terrorists say they're fishermen. I don't, can't believe that. I mean, gosh, how can this be going on? Yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's absolutely bananas. 17. So the number was 17 strikes. Wow, that's even more.
65 dead men. Now, I know there were at least a couple survivors, which is interesting. I was so worried. I'm like, well, they're going to probably survive. They're going to be recovering in their hospital. And then a tragic incident happens where like a giant satellite falls out of the sky and crushes them to death or something in their beds. Oops.
Yeah. Space junk. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, would not be surprised. Jay Sherlock, not what a professional military would do. Well, valid criticism.
And then it gets even worse because, what do we generally need in order for a war to happen here?
If catalyzing event, perhaps?
Well, I mean, is there a governing body, a group of people that would need to get involved first before we can just, say, hey, we're going to war? Can the president just determine that we're going to war? Or no?
No. The Viceroy Trump has been given the powers to do whatever he wants. So much like every other president.
Not true. We basically need Congress to approve war. But what happened very recently this week, and I'm pretty sure it was covered on 21st Century Wire's website, a reprint from Global Affairs. But the United States Senate voted on Thursday to block a bipartisan resolution which would have restrained Trump's authority to strike Venezuela. And it did more than deny Congress a say in war. It opened the door to yet another undeclared conflict, one that risks shattering lives across the Caribbean while hiding behind the worn mask of, quote, fighting narco-terrorism, end quote. That's what the piece says up at 21stCenturyWire.com. But yes, so Senate said, we're going to go ahead and block that resolution. We're just going to say this is okay. It's total. We're basically saying, without officially saying it, that you have our approval. As the headline says, Senate sanctions the war by omission. That's a great headline. Yep, that's exactly what we're witnessing. It's really, really wild. I mean, so you think it's bad. Oh, no, it's worse than that. It's so much worse than that. And who or what is really behind the scenes pulling these strings? What is really going on here? It cannot possibly be what they're saying. Well, it's because we care, because narco and drugs. I'm like, hello, do we need to do a refresher on the drug war and that how that works and plays out? And then, remember the troops guarding the poppy fields people and all that stuff, right, Hesher? I mean, so this is really not about drugs or protecting Americans from the harms of said drugs. There's really some other big power play going on here, yeah?
Yeah, probably. Ruckus, I hate to inform you, but Elvis in Vegas thinks that your tinfoil hat is not thick enough. Ruckus is Mr. Conspiracy, yet he believes they actually blew up the boats. What? It's fake. No
Well,
boats were blown up. They're trying to scare Maduro to flee. So obviously fake. What do you think, man?
this is actually something that I've brought up on air on Weaponized News. So yeah, absolutely. There's always that. This is 2025. We've all seen that movie, Wag the Dog. I mean, what's even better than blowing up a bunch of boats out of the water? Just doing it digitally on a screen and making people think that we did. So much cheaper, so much more efficient, so much faster, and so much easier to do now in the advent of AI. I was watching those videos of these alleged boats being blown up. I'm like, doesn't this look exactly like the same as the last one and the one before that and the one before that and the one before that, right? Or I guess we've only seen a few of these, but they all look the same. And it looks very similar to like when they released these videos of the little grainy, like, oh, that little blip right there. But that was it. That was the Tic Tac. That was the UFO. Oh my God, I can't believe what I'm looking at. And I'm like, what are we looking at? And again, what the problem is that whatever it is that we're looking at doesn't matter. What ultimately matters is whatever the person behind the screen on the television using their voice and their brainwashing NLP techniques tell us happened, what they want us to believe happened. And whether or not it really happened, I argue doesn't matter either, because it's the outcome, the policies, the decisions, the next phases, the next steps, what happens after, what's next, right? I honestly don't care if it was fake or not. But in this case, yeah, I wouldn't put it past them that, yeah, how many boats were knocked out of the water? Maybe one, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't prove any of it for myself. Therefore, I don't know.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a little bit sticky, right? I mean, grainy footage. You're right. It's like, okay, you're showing me basically Loch Ness Monster. You're showing me basically Tic Tac UFO. Show me where's the actual information. Someone please tell me where the actual information is.
Well, the press will get it out of them. They have offices right there in the. Oh, never mind.
Oh, right. No, they have to
I
run
guess
that.
most of them walked out.
Yeah. And even if they did stay and wanted to run the story, they'd have to run it by the Pentagon first because, I don't know, screw the First Amendment, I guess, or something like that. All right. So if anybody wants to see some receipts on that claim we made about New York, here you go. There's the press release. And this is from the New York City Emergency Management Board. And this one, where's the date on this? July 11th, 2022. NYC Emergency Management Department launched a new public service announcement that focuses on nuclear preparedness. While the likelihood of a nuclear weapon incident occurring in or near New York City is very low, it's important New Yorkers know how to stay safe. So this, hopefully, this will be the actual PSA.
Prepared. The odds of a nuclear attack, pretty low. But city officials at the Office of Emergency Management want to make sure you know what to do to stay safe if it ever came to that. Pretty basic stuff. Go inside and stay there. But people are wondering what is up with the timing of this message. Isa Gutierrez explains.
So there's been a nuclear attack. Don't ask me how or why. Just know that the big one has hit.
New York City officials releasing a PSA on what to do in case of a nuclear attack. Their instructions: get inside, and stay tuned.
PSAs like this seem like a waste.
Stay tuned. Get inside, stay inside. So under stay inside, they've got shut doors and windows, go to the middle of the building, get clean immediately, remove clothing, and shower with soap or shampoo. All right. Hey, thanks for that one, guys. What to do if a nuclear bomb explodes in New York City. Yeah, and then we also had, let's see, creative accidents. Thank you for these. U.S. reveals new stealth nuclear missiles on Cold War bomber, the second show of force in a week. This came out at the dreaded New York Compost 4 days ago, it looks like. U.S. military was spotted testing a new stealth nuclear weapon on a Cold War bomber last week, just as the Air Force was preparing to test its Minuteman II intercontinental ballistic missile. So an Air Force B-52 was pictured flying over California's Owens Valley on October 29 with the snapshot revealing rockets underneath its wing that appeared to match renderings of the AGM-181A long-range standoff nuclear cruise missiles. So, Ruckus, we got a lot of nuclear warfare fear porn for you today.
Bah, humbug. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, the one key difference here is that since, Trump's been in office, I mean, yeah, like everything else, we were promised a whole bunch of peace, and we're getting quite the opposite here. I mean, as I was mentioning there, this Venezuela thing. I mean, this is all threatening to start a new conflict. Why would we be starting new conflicts when we have not even wrapped up the ones that existed when we came into power? I'm speaking as the president here, right? Trump's like, oh, I'm the peace, I'm going to end all this. No, he comes in, and he starts new wars. What are you doing? And we discussed this last week, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, even though they are with this war propaganda, this peace through strength. And that's what that is. They're showing the bombers and all of this talk recently in the news about them whipping out all their nukes and seeing if they're still working. They're like, you may have seen the headlines. They're like, oh, Trump has issued an executive order. We need to check. We need to test our weapons. And then it comes out and they're like, well, yes, we're going to test the weapons, but we're not allowed. We're not detonating anything. That's not allowed. Nobody detonates anything. Well, then what are we testing? I don't get it. It's just the boom, the scary headline. That's just like, oh, if you're Russia, you're supposed to be like, oh, dang, man, America's serious, bro. They're even testing their nukes, man. I'm shaking in my boots, or that's what they want us to believe. It's just all this projection of power back and forth. It's all fake. It's all willy nilly. It's so silly. And I guess, obviously I don't want to see a bomb dropped or anything like that. But I mean, again, how many times can we go back and forth with these threats and not? You would think by now we would see something. I mean, if the world is full of these raving lunatics that want to destroy everything and take over the world, like we're told, like all of these bad people, President Xi and President Putin, and what's the North Korea guy? What's his? I forgot already. Little Kim. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not buying into it. And another thing is the threat of fear, the threat of war, the everybody being on the edge is just so damn useful. I mean, that's how you control a population. So I personally refuse to be controlled that way. So I'm not going to be worried about it. I'm going to live my life. I will continue to, unfortunately, live in fear of sharks. I cannot help that. But luckily, in very rare instances, I don't believe I need to worry about that here in Central Texas, Hesher. So I feel good.
Not unless we get nuclear radiated, mutant sharks, land sharks or something like that. I think we'll be okay, man.
I'll cross that bridge when we get there, carrying my AK-47. How about
that? That's right. Well, you know what? Speaking of B-52s, right? Like we just saw the speculation there about B-52s being armed with, nuclear weapons and such. Check this out. Going back to Venezuela, the United States has reactivated a Cold War era naval base in Puerto Rico and deployed a buttload of troops to the Caribbean in the largest American military buildup in the region in decades. The deployment, are you ready for this, includes F-35 fighter jets, B-52 bombers, the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, the Army's 160th Special Operations Regiment. And of course, this is following Trump's declaration of a this is a quote, non-international armed conflict, end quote, with drug cartels. So treating suspected traffickers as unlawful combatants, the Trump administration has formulated various strategies for potential military intervention in Venezuela, ranging from airstrikes against military facilities to efforts to seize the country's oil reserves. They're saying 69 people have been killed across those 17 strikes, whatever it is, since September. So a non-international armed conflict with drug cartels, huh? Interesting.
So what you're telling me is the United States of America literally wants to invade Venezuela.
Yeah, and seize their oil reserves on top of that, man. How about that?
When have we historically like ever done that? When have we picked a fight with a country and then just went and invaded it? Oh, well. But
Yeah.
I mean, but on our own, without, you know, this is not, you know, an international community. This is personal, is what he's saying with the non-international military thingamabobber. This is wild, man. This is. I mean, we accuse the West and countries such as the United States and UK and France and others of being aggressors, and Israel, of course. But this is literally in your face. This is like, we're just gonna set up shop here, and here's some B-52 bombers too, and this and that. Like, what the F are we doing? This is far more concerning than the threat of like nuclear war. This is like actual hot war, troops on boots, people shooting each other over what? Like, if you expect that, I expect some damn evidence. I want some hot smoking gun evidence that this is all what you say it is, and that we need to do this to say, once we do this, then the drugs go away and everybody lives happy and free. What is this? This is crazy. This is crazy. This needs to stop. Period. Full stop.
They don't even arrest the people that deal fentanyl. They don't even arrest the people that sell that poison to Americans. Okay. So, let's do some reverse algebra here. If they're not arresting and jailing the weirdos that are selling this to the weirdos that do it, why not start there? Why are we starting in international waters outside of another country? And this non-international conflict thing, you're right. That's just their way of saying no one else supports this but us, and we don't give an F. Right? No one else is backing us on this, but we're gonna blow up your boats. We may kill some fishermen in the fog of war, but trust us, those fishermen are definitely hanging with narco terrorists. Okay.
This is not going to end well.
No, trust is. I got news for him. Trust is running thin in this country, and there's not a whole lot of it going around internationally either. So, yeah, the trust the plan thing. I don't know if that's gonna sprout wings and fly. I just don't.
This is
Cool.
wacky. So
From
many of
outer
these.
Good one, Daniel.
So many times we're like we're getting involved in these foreign conflicts on behalf of other countries, but if it seems, well, maybe that's what we're missing. Maybe none of this is above board. Maybe this absolutely has nothing to do with resources. Maybe this has nothing to do with narco stuff. Maybe we're just guilty of doing the same thing that we've always done, Hesher. Do you think there might be another plot line behind the scenes? Is there something else going on?
Oh yeah.
Food for thought.
Basically, anytime we're being shown something like this, yeah, there's something else going on in the background that is far more odious. I would definitely bet on it.
Well, I can't wait for somebody to do a deep dive into that one. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I hope you're out there somewhere. Anyway.
Elvis says, if we're going to war with Venezuela to get the oil, then I want my 2 million dividend check for doing so. Yeah, there you go. There you go. If we're just going to go in there and steal oil and tell everybody it's about saving Americans from Fetty, and no Americans believe it, yeah, time to cut some checks, guys.
Well, I figured it out. I finally figured it out. I got it. Tell me what you think about this one. So we've seen how protracted and long, worn, drawn out that these conflicts are in modern times, approximately 3 to 4 years at least, right? If we are just now entering into a conflict with Venezuela, what are the odds that's going to be all nice and neatly wrapped up in time for the elections? Because maybe there's a slight chance it wouldn't be. And, you know, if our country is engaged in some sort of, like, if we are literally at war, does anyone know how do the elections go in America when we are literally at war? How does that work?
Well, sometimes they'll make an argument to suspend them. That could be a thing.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just a weird, wild, just a strange thought. I know I get these weird, strange thoughts on Sunday mornings. Anyway,
this guy in the destroyed White House too. He seems to be interested in a third term somehow, and everybody's kind of laughed it off. But maybe that's a route.
Or an extended term for his immediate successor for if something were to happen and a satellite falls from the sky and crushes him or something. You never know.
Yeah. Or a chunk of the White House falls
a gold
apart.
Sitting in the office just blows up. Yep.
Did anybody crack that thing open yet and look for tech? Here's one from Terry. Maybe if Maduro would pledge love and allegiance to Israel. Well,
he hasn't done that. Does he condemn Hamas?
I don't know. I don't
actually
think
no.
So.
Apparently, it's quite the opposite.
Yep, I don't think so. I haven't seen him at the wall wailing. Haven't seen the small hat. So yeah. I don't know. They even got Kanye to apologize at this point. So, yeah, Maduro might go the way of Kanye if you want to avoid this. Hate to say it. I mean, gosh. Well, let's see here. So, we brought up that nation. Here's something out of Al Jazeera. One of our listeners sent us Israel's focus on political drama rather than Palestinian rape victim. Uh-oh. Are we supposed to say grape instead of that word on the YouTubes? I don't really know. I see a lot of people saying that. But I'm not going to do that because I'm simply looking at a news article here. Pretty sure we're allowed to look at news articles on the platform. Right, Alphabet? The revelation last week by Israel's top military lawyer, Major General Yafet Tomer Yerushalami, that she leaked the footage of a gang rape of a Palestinian detainee at the Sedtimin Military Detention Center last year has shaken the country's political and media establishment. Prime Minister Netanyahu, whose leadership of the genocidal war on Gaza has drawn global condemnation, called the leak, quote, perhaps the most severe public relations attack that the state of Israel has experienced. Okay, so leaked footage of a terrible assault like that on a detainee, in his estimation, is a public relations attack, Ruckus.
It was incredibly anti-Semitic of that lady, and she's a traitor to her country for leaking that video. Yeah, wow. It's pretty wild.
The attack was so brutal that the man was admitted to the hospital with what the Israeli Daily Haaretz revealed was a ruptured bowel. I don't even want to go through. You're going to have to read the rest of that. We'll just stop that one right there. That is...
No, this whole story always makes me uncomfortable. It's terrible. I mean, it's just god awful. It's just bad.
This is even worse than that one time when former Vice President Dick Cheney shot his friend in the face with a shotgun, and then his friend had to apologize for the harsh treatment that Cheney got when the story broke.
That would be like getting this victim, in this case, in this story, to apologize for harming the broomstick, right?
Yeah, I think they might do that. I mean, it kind of sounds like, that may be what happens to that poor person.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Did I or did I not? Now, I'm not saying this. I'm just asking a question, and maybe I saw something about how these people involved. Maybe it wasn't the people involved with this particular grape. It might have been the other one that we've seen videos of them doing it to a female prisoner or whatever. But they got like awards and stuff. Like they got praised and promotions. Did I see some stories like that?
Yeah.
That's awful too.
Mm-hmm. No, it's totally crazy. Oh man. Okay. So yeah, that story is frustrating. That one makes me feel uncomfortable as well. I'm sure it makes a lot of you feel uncomfortable out there also to know that your governments and your tax dollars are supporting that, and that this government has its such a foothold.
Well, it's okay, Hesher, because I'm a Christian in America, and so it's totally okay. God works in mysterious ways, and I support that, just like I support Lindsey Graham. Anyway, yeah, no, bad, terrible.
Yeah.
Evil deeds by human beings are still evil deeds by human beings. Okay, I don't know who needs to hear that.
Right. We'll just leave that right there for whoever needs to hear it. Okay, let's look at this one up at 21stcenturywire.com. You can go check this out at the website. Again, through Global Affairs here. From Khartoum to Tel Aviv, Israel's fingerprints in Sudan's genocide. Oh my goodness. The G word, but applied in another country. Say it isn't so. Maybe someone didn't know. As Sudan collapses into one of the deadliest humanitarian crises of the century, international attention is once again going to Darfur, where entire communities are being wiped out in what the United States has now formally recognized as a genocide. Oh, we can recognize these things when they happen? Interesting. Yet behind the brutality on the ground lies a quieter, more complex story, one that links Khartoum to Tel Aviv, Darfur to the Red Sea, and exposes how Israel's strategic ambitions in East Africa may have intertwined with the bloodshed. This is a really interesting article, Ruckus. I don't want to get into all of the details because there are a lot of details in there, but that's one of the things we love about 21st Century Wire, Global Affairs, all the people we work with over here. We get a lot of detail when it comes to these things. But basically, Israel's interest in Sudan has been around since the 1970s. And the country has figured prominently in Israeli defense strategy as a gateway to East Africa, a buffer to Iranian influence, and a potential security corridor along the Red Sea. So, it's a strategic location, and seems like Trump has taken an interest in some of these places too lately. How about that? That must just be a coincidence, right?
Well, I mean, he's just making America great again. So I trust the plan. Or sorry, they don't say that. They say trust in President Trump. That's what it is. They say don't listen to the panicans. Trust in President Trump. Promises made, promises delivered. Yada yada yada. A bunch of platitudes. Not even platitudes. Just straight up lies and making it sound like. Man, it's an inversion. It's so satanic. It's just a giant satanic inversion. That's the only way I can see it anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry, and that's not me. That's them. They did this to me. Like I wish I could go back to where it's like the glasses in the movie, but now I don't even need the glasses anymore. I just want to see everything normal again. Why can't I see everything normal again?
Because man, you took not only did you have the glasses, but you took that red pill too, and you can't go back.
Why, oh, why didn't I take the blue pill?
The steak tastes so good when you take the blue one. Yes. So yeah, Sudan, that's pretty interesting. There's a long history of this stuff. I'm getting spun up on it largely from this article here. In the late 60s through the mid 80s, Sudan secretly cooperated with Israel to airlift Ethiopian Jews through Sudanese territory in what was called Operation Moses and Operation Joshua. But that relationship apparently collapsed in 1989. So, Sudan sided with Iran and Hamas at the time. So, in the decades that follow, you see attacks, convoys being destroyed. You see drone strikes in Port Sudan targeting arms smugglers. So they say. Is that sounds similar to what's going on in Venezuela? Oh, we got narco terrorists. Oh, we got arms smugglers. Drone strike them. And then there was a bombing in Khartoum at a arms factory which was reportedly storing Iranian munitions. So you can see how this area is, important. And there's all kind of stuff brewing over there in Africa and all over the place. And isn't it weird that we see Israel's hands in a lot of these, little sub conflicts, not the big ones that we hear about in Western media.
Isn't that weird? Very weird.
Yeah.
Just a coincidence, though, mind you.
Those shadows of Zion. Today's show is called Shadows of Zion. So that would be a great example of that shadow that can be cast by this small country. So Dick Cheney's dead. We mentioned him briefly, but I guess we should say he has left the building. He's hanging out with Brzezinski and many others. So I don't know. A lot of people celebrating. Some people celebrating. I saw a lot of comments where people are like, "Hey, I don't normally celebrate the dead, or celebrate when someone dies, but this guy might be an exception for some people out there, from what I have seen on the social."
Let's be real and honest, though. I mean, is the world technically a better place without him? Has anything changed? Nah, doesn't matter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's certainly not any worse. But I don't know if we can even argue if it's even any better. I mean, that guy. I mean, when's the last time anybody even heard about that guy, talked about that guy, or nothing even crossed their mind? When's the last time before he passed away?
Well, I think people are thinking about his daughter now, Liz Cheney, which brings up the whole other thing. Like, we see some of these, legendary elite wannabe ghoul people leave the planet, but what do? I mean, even some of them don't even leave the planet. I mean, look at George Soros. We've got his son out there on X this week congratulating the new New York mayor. We've got Liz Cheney hanging around. We've got Brzezinski's daughter hanging around. We've got, and it's like none of these people go away. They just leave their wretched spawn laying around where they left off.
It's because they're biblical people and they believe in God's commandment to be fruitful and multiply. Yeah.
And that your stuff is theirs because their book said so.
Wow. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Someone answered your question. Let's see. The last the comments are coming in so fast I can't even click it. Come on, I can't. Come on, stop commenting.
He endorsed Kamala. I know. He said that the most important, he was one of the people literally saying that Donald Trump becoming president a second time was like an existential threat. He was literally Hitler. He was going to do a bunch of fascist stuff, start a bunch of new wars. Oh, well, no, anyway.
Yes. Bart says he's gone to see Henry Kissinger. Terry, I'm glad we have family dynasties to govern us, right? What would we do, Terry, without the family dynasties to treat us like the useless eaters and cattle that we are? I mean, gosh.
Thank God we're not a monarchy out here.
Oh, no. Don't. Terry, don't. President Chelsea. No, please. Okay. Yep. There's another great example. We got Clinton wretched spawn rolling around. That one's going to ping pong back into DC at some point here. So yes.
Don't forget, all of the U.S. presidents, I think except one, was found to be related to the Queen of England, right?
Yeah. Sounds familiar. I never really saw the receipts on that claim. I've seen some.
It's like a 12-year-old girl who figured this out for like a science fair school project.
Yeah,
now it's a known fact. Yeah,
I'm still trying to figure out why she's so much smarter than me, but I mean, I don't doubt her outcome. Neocons come out of conveyor belts. I love that.
Off of an assembly line in Dearborn, Michigan. Oh, never mind. Sorry.
We should be happy with our $20 tuna sandwiches. Yes, one of the few things in life we don't have to rent. They are overpriced, but you can't really rent a tuna sandwich. So maybe we will just own nothing and be happy, right?
Well, until we get to that point, they certainly want everybody to go ahead and own something now, and you can go ahead and pay for it later. That phenomenon just keeps getting crazier by the day, and we're going to see a lot more of that as times get tougher here. Even though, like, we're in a great economy here, according to the president, he always waves his Jedi fingers, like, everything's great, everything's fine, everything's wonderful. And then, like, can we see some numbers? Oh, well, the government's shut down. Once we're open again, those silly Democrats, if they can just kill this filibuster, we'll look at some numbers, and you'll see the economy's doing great. Thanksgiving, according to Walmart, is going to be cheaper this year than last year. So that's fantastic news, everybody.
Yeah, wonderful. Everything's going to be great. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see. What else do we got? Oh gosh, I've got requests to play some Mark Levin clips. Whitebird, if you
It's pretty brutal.
yeah,
Brutal.
if you have one in particular you want me to play, send it to me. Maybe I will, if I see it come through. I know I've got so many like pieces of footage like that. Like I've got one of Randy Fine here talking, and it's just like, some of these people are so insane. I don't even know what to do with them. They just love that shadow, right? Love that shadow of Zion. RFK Jr. thinks he got the brainworm from a tuna sandwich from longtime listener. So there was some we were talking about the Ozempic guy on Boiler Room Ruckus. So this guy, he had a medical event in the Oval Office. Is that what happened there? This guy basically collapsed in the Oval Office, and Trump just stood there while everybody was trying to figure out if this guy was okay.
Yeah, actually, I've not even followed up with that. I don't know if the guy is okay. That's the one part of the story that I'm like unsure of. I'm like, is he okay? What happened after that? But yeah, there's a link for you with the good old Levin, by the way. But the guy was he was from Nordisk. It's the company that makes that stuff, right?
I believe that's it.
Don't they make Ozempic? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Novo Nordisk. That was the name of the company. So the guy who was he's not the CEO. He's one of the what do you call those people? He's a corporate guy of some sort, but he's definitely not. He's not. Yeah, there you go. I think he was just on the board member. But the dude passed out inside the Oval Office. It was after a big one thing where Trump had done some sort of executive order. The Trump made an announcement about these weight loss drugs, saying that he was going to force them to lower the costs and make it more affordable for Americans. And him and the Maha crowd and RFK Jr. running around like, oh yes, this is the answer to America's obesity epidemic, as if changing your diet and your lifestyle and eating healthier and working out, all that stuff. No, we're just going to go ahead and give you the Ozempic. And we've tracked on the Boiler Room and in other places, Hesher, about the dangers there. It's not a safe product. What a shock. And it's yet again, by the way, it's a repurposed product anyways. But yeah, the dude passed out. It was they were calling this the GLP-1 event, because that's what these types of drugs are called, the ones like Ozempic. There's a bunch of them, the way it works. The guy's name is Gordon Findlay. He passed out on Thursday. And right there, RFK Jr., Dr. Mehmet Oz were talking, did a little speech, and then Trump had signed a piece of paper or whatever, and then somebody else was talking, and then the dude just freaking passes out, and everybody is on the dude. Everybody's like, and the RFK Jr. and everybody runs out of the camera, and Trump just like, he's standing behind the desk, and he just goes like this. He's just watching the whole thing happen, and he just turns back, like, just stands there casually, just in time for somebody to snap a picture of him just standing there looking at the camera for the picture while all the chaos is happening behind him. It's an amazing, amazing image. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. One of my favorite comments from a listener here: watching RFK Jr. dip out stage left as soon as that dude started falling over, and Trump just standing there facing the cameras like he shit his pants. Oh, brutality.
That's what it looked like. There you go. Actually, to me, that was Trump's moment, very equivalent to Biden watching the fireworks show and everybody's dancing and clapping their hands around him, and he's just like, Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is Trump's moment like that, I think.
The United States of octogenarian politicians. Here we are.
But he's going to make it for a third term, everybody.
Yeah, RFK Jr. left the building. He sure did. And we showed, I won't replay them here, but go watch this week's Boiler Room. We did it on Friday night. You can see clips on there that we pulled out from the archives where RFKJ was being pretty skeptical about GLP-1 drugs, and I'm not hearing the I told you so's, the vindications. I'm not hearing the Mr. Trump, I'm going to have to resign because you just signed an EO that goes against making America healthy again. I mean, I could go on.
This administration is just rank with these examples. What is this word? It starts with an H and ends with a Y. Hypocrisy.
Oh,
I'm going with hypocrisy. Will that work?
Yeah,
who's this dude who's I guess he's in charge of the FBI, or he thinks he is. Cash Patel. How do you say this guy's name? Just kidding.
I think it's
Cash Patel. There's some interesting video of that guy from not that long ago where he was running around condemning the former FBI director Christopher Wray for, unfairly wielding his powers, abusing his power, flying around on his personal jet when he probably shouldn't have been doing that. In fact, he said that was a big no-no. Cash Patel said that. And then, interestingly enough, Cash Patel went ahead and did the exact same thing. And now he's in hot water for misappropriating use of his private jet to go jet set and hang out with his girlfriend, who is a huge country sensation here in America. In case you didn't know, nobody's ever really heard of her. She may or may not be MI6 or a handler or something like that, or a spy. You can't say that, though. She might sue you.
Mossad, I believe, right? She's
there you go. I said MI6. What was I thinking?
Tomato.
Mossad, CIA. They're all the same, right? But he's in big trouble. But again, these people all are guilty of doing all of the things that they were condemning and saying, oh, this is terrible, and we're not going to do that, this and that, and here we are. And I was just like, man, how many times does your favorite politician, your flavor, your brand, your color, this letter between parentheses next to the person's name, how many times do you need to get fooled before you just stop falling for this crap? People, I'm done with it. Clearly, I think you're done with it, Hesher. So many of our friends and colleagues are so done with it. It makes me wonder if that's not the ultimate plan. If they really just want everybody to be just so done with it, so they're like, yeah, I don't even care. You want to go ahead and turn the government over to AI? Whatever. At least it's not this other thing, because we're so tired of it. We're so tired of this other thing, aren't you?
Yeah. The news cycle and political identity politic fatigue is become so real, and now the whole like fake and gay fatigue has become so real. There's the black pilling is so strong, and it does, dare I say, it does seem like people that are the most content are those that are completely unplugged, man. So, and I'm afraid that might be the vast majority of Westerners. That has changed, and that is changing. There's a lot of people with new and or renewed interests in current events, geopolitics, that kind of stuff, authoritarianism. But, we're so far into the post-truth world now that, if you just woke up in 2020, you good. Thank you. Glad to have you here, but you may be too late. We may all be too late. This whole idea of like, an information warfare that the population can actually come out on the top of is starting to look like a non-starter to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I had the means and the ways to travel, I basically, if I wasn't afraid to go over the ocean because of my shark fear, I would probably be an expatriate. I would probably get my ass out of this country at this stage. That's how far gone they've taken me, Hesher. And I'm 1776 baby, 1976, the bicentennial baby, all for it. I'm all for America. I still believe in what this country was founded on, but it's gone. They destroyed it. Where is it? I don't see any hope left for where they're taking us. I don't think I want to be here when all of this finally ultimately goes down. This is not where I want to make my last stand. I think there are other places that I might be happier just, living out the last of my days, but I don't think this is it anymore, unfortunately.
Maybe one of those narco states, huh? Maybe we should move to Venezuela.
I'll get myself a nice little fisherman boat and go fishing, and maybe one day I'll poof. There goes Ruckus.
Fun to watch, terrifying to live. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay. Well, you asked for it, so you're gonna get it. Let's see what kind of unhinged madness we can get from Mark Levin this week. What do we got going here?
And I just want the anti-American, anti-Israel, anti-West crowd to understand something. You're going to have to come through me and millions of people just like me, and you're not going to make it. You think your stupid little podcast, or your stupid little subscription program, or your little TV show, or maybe you have a little radio show, is going to change the world like hell it is, not if I and everybody else have something to say about it.
Okay. Your little TV show, your little radio show, you got to go through Mark Levin and Bear, his whiny nasal accent.
Not just any podcast, not just any little subscription program, a stupid little podcast. Stupid little subscription program.
Stupid little subscription program. What do you think he's talking about? I'm pretty sure he doesn't give a crap about us. Is he talking about Candace Owens? Is he talking about Tucker Carlson? Is he talking about maybe even Joe Rogan? Sorry, Mark. I think Candace just ended up the #1 podcaster in the world, riding the tsunami of disinformation that is available to analyze in the Charlie Kirk event. So that silly little podcast, if that is one of the ones you're referring to, Mark, has tens of millions more viewers than you're ever going to get. So, I don't know who you think is going to be having to come through you, or what you think you're going to do. Are you going to, I think Candace Owens actually did just rail right through him, considering she's now the #1 podcaster. So, she just went through you, Mark. She just literally went through you like the spear of destiny here.
He probably wasn't talking to her. Because clearly she does not have a stupid little podcast, right? She's a pretty big name, pretty big face. And, we've seen a lot of these big names and big faces, and we've been questioning, how are these people allowed to do what they do? And what's this thing over here? What's this phenomenon with this Fuentes do? What did just happen there with Kanye and Alex Jones? Look at this phenomenon with the Tucker Carlson, all of the things, right? All of the things. And until somebody can prove to me otherwise, I don't know these people personally. I don't know if I can necessarily trust them. We've seen some of these people appear to start out a little bit smaller and then just like shoot up to superstardom level, like an Ian Carroll kind of phenomenon. Not just him. This has happened with a handful of other people, right? I don't think that those are the people that he's talking to. I really think I think that was a shot directly at people like us. I really do.
Could be.
I took it quite personally. Excuse me, Mr. Levin. I have a stupid little podcast. I just said something right now on a little TV show, or maybe this little radio show, depending on how you're watching or listening to it, that could be considered anti-American, could be considered anti-Israel and or anti-West. So do I need to go through you? Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me?
Are you threatening me?
Do I need TP for my bunghole? Is that a sign? How does one defend himself about Mark Levin? I don't know. There was something very triggering about that. I think it was done intentionally. the guy was seriously unhinged. I mean, there was also something off about him. Either he was on some sort of substance or somebody flicked a switch. There was something off about the guy. He's already off anyways. Don't get me wrong. But this was different. There was something off about the way his pace, his breathing, everything. It was very strange, very, very odd. But I think there was something more to this than him referring to Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson. I think this is one of those instances where they're talking to us, the little guys, the people who practice and exercise their First Amendment rights and freedoms and get up on their soapboxes in the public square, which these days happen to be social media, X, Facebook, doing stupid little podcasts, streaming, content creators. Facebook and YouTube wants us all to be content creators, right, Hesher? I mean, so... what are you saying? Like, oh, that's totally okay as long as you're all on board with the narrative. Well, that's fine. If we're all going to have to be on board the narrative, I expect a $7,000 check. Don't you, Hesher?
Have not seen the checks yet. Looks like Basil Valentine's about to join us here. Let me bring him on before I play this next clip. We're going to go to U.S. Congressman from Florida, Representative Randy Fine next, but let me welcome Basil Valentine to the Sunday Wire. Basil, hello, welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Great to see you, and hello to everyone all around the world. Yeah, just before you do, quickly, Mark Levin was absolutely hysterical. He's not physically the most attractive individuals at the best of times, but the way he exploded with rage at the Republican Jewish Convention really betrayed an intolerance of mindset that was he came across as unhinged, didn't he? It's been fascinating all week to watch the Tucker, Fuentes, Candace, Ben Shapiro, etc. wars raging on in the background of the commentariat, and the simple fact is that Mark Levin does not appeal to anybody outside a tiny constituency of firstly his own tribe and then those tremendously sympathetic to it. Likewise, the bloated Randy Fine as well, another deeply unattractive individual, whereas Nick and certainly Tucker come across as very reasonable, sane, measured, far more the sort of people you'd like to have dinner with than those that are condemning them. And of course, let's remember too something Nick Fuentes pointed out in the week and has been pointed out about him. He might have said a few things that people disagree with, but he hasn't blown the legs off thousands of children. He isn't a wanted war criminal. He isn't a mass murderer. And yet the likes, of course, of Fine and Levin are only too happy to make common cause with people that are.
Yeah, exactly. Let's let me throw Randy Fine up here so people can take a look.
Warning! We should issue a warning before you see that. You need a strong stomach even to look at this guy, let alone listen to him.
That's true.
He should carry a public health warning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm here to fight, and we are in a time where we need fighters. We need people to go out and fight. We need people who are not going to be afraid, because if we stay silent in the face of what is coming, not only on the left, but on our own side as well, our time in this country could come to an end as well. Jews have been kicked out of every country we've ever lived, and it's never been our own fault. And there are people who would like to do the same to us here. And unfortunately, some of them are in our own party. But I can promise you this, as long as I'm in Congress, they ain't going to win. So thank you guys for having me.
Okay. More promises made there. Wow.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes has been calling for Ben Shapiro to go and live in Israel, saying, you don't belong here. I mean, the divisions are very deep and very visceral. And of course, Nick all week has been repeating his mantra of freedom of speech, Christ is king. And that's not something that the likes of Levin can endorse, of course.
Oddly enough, because they claim to be such, ardent Christians, but
well, this whole Judeo-Christian meme was actually only invented less than 100 years ago. It's a relatively recent phenomenon. It sort of came along at the same time as the Schofield Bible and the invention of Christian Zionism. Really, this, melding the two together. There's lots of memes circulating on the internet about how Islam actually has more in common with Christianity than Judaism does. Both Islam recognizes Christ as a prophet and says that he ascended into heaven, not something that Jews believe. In fact, Ben Shapiro is on air with Joe Rogan, just simply saying that Christ was just another rebel Jew, of which there were quite a number at the time, and he got his comeuppance, and that's the end of that, really.
And real quick, I would like to let people know that they should check out our friend and colleague over at Alternate Current Radio, Odd Man Out, who has an extended 20-something part series called Those We Don't Speak Of. And in particular, his most recent episodes have been addressing, if you think it's shocking to know that the Islamic religion has more in common with Christianity than Judaism does, you would be probably even more shocked to learn exactly what has closer commonality with the modern version of the Judaic religion. A lot of their teachings and their writings and their beliefs come from some very, very shady sources. We'll just leave it there. But if you'd like to learn more, I encourage folks to check that out. You can find that at our website, alternatecurrentradio.com. If you just go to one of his most recent episodes, there's a link in the show notes that will take you to a list of all the others in the series. But I encourage folks to check out the Pharisees, the Talmud, and the Oral Law, I think was the name of the episode. He did like 3 episodes in just that mini series within his other series. But you can learn all sorts of interesting stuff if you're into it, but don't just take their word for it when they run around and say, oh yeah, no, Judeo-Christian Bible, this and no, the beliefs of these people are far, far and removed from what we would think of as having anything to do with Christianity. It's crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, look, the principal tenets of Christianity include embodying the qualities of Christ, chief amongst which are love, compassion, and forgiveness. Now, those are all qualities that Zionists certainly explicitly reject. They see compassion as weakness. There's no room for forgiveness, as has been evidenced by the Gaza Holocaust. So, how you can claim on the one hand to be a Christian and yet at the same time embrace an ideology that is hell-bent on revenge and total destruction and mass murder is beyond me. But somehow some people think that they can square the circle because of 1 or 2 references to an Israel in the Old Testament, of course, which has nothing whatsoever to do with the settler colonial state in Palestine. But just to go back to the rowing this week, of course, we had the spectacle as well of Kevin Roberts, the head of the Heritage Foundation, first of all coming out and describing the attack, particularly on Tucker Carlson, who is a good friend of Roberts, apparently, as being venomous. And that word, of course, was seized upon by the Zionists as being an anti-Semitic trope. I mean, you'd be allowed to say that any other political group or subgroup or section of the commentariat were venomous, but you can't use that word to describe the likes of Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro or Laura Loomer. I don't know why. Perhaps someone could explain that to me. But anyway, he was then forced to eat crow for days on end. Over a week long's worth of apology. There were meetings at the Heritage Foundation, which were then leaked to the internet. He was forced to record a groveling apology for X. He had to write to the board of the Heritage Foundation and apologize, grovel on every level and submit. And of course, none of it is good enough. He's still likely to lose his job, and the American so-called anti-Semitism organization pulled its funding from Heritage. Heritage may indeed completely implode as a result, because in typical witch hunt fashion, exactly the same as what happened in this country in the Labour Party a few years ago, if you were in any way associated with somebody deemed to be an anti-Semite, then you too are subject to opprobrium, expulsion from whatever organization it is, ostracism by your peers. That happened across the Labour Party. I mean, Chris Williamson, for example, former Labour MP, was thrown out of the party simply for saying that he thought that the party had been too apologetic and that the anti-Semitism crisis had been exaggerated. That became a capital offence. If you thought that the crisis was manufactured, let alone synthesized in Tel Aviv, then that put you in the crosshairs. Now it seems simply for talking to Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson is in the crosshairs. Any questioning at all of the outsized role of Israeli influence on the US government, that's a no-no. And yet, of course, it is becoming more widely discussed, and quite rightly so. I mean, we saw that woman, I can't remember her name, talking to Candace Owens in the week. And she said, the CNN reporter, she said, I've been studying the white nationalist right and for many years. And you're using the same terms that they are. Things like Zionist occupied government. This is terrible. You must recant this. How can you possibly say that? I didn't listen to all of Candace's response, but it wasn't particularly effective, because what she should really have simply said was, can you name a single individual, either in this administration or the Obama administration or the Biden administration, indeed any administration over the last 30 years, that included a single individual who would not have described themselves as a Zionist? One, any undersecretary of state, anyone at all in the, let's take the Trump administration, who would say they're not a Zionist. There isn't anyone, no one. Everybody is a Zionist. Therefore, how can you not say that it's a Zionist occupied government? Of course it is. It's self-evident. So, I mean, it's, the whole thing is getting boiled down to a degree that we've never seen before. There's finally some honest conversations taking place. I don't think MAGA will recover. People are saying MAGA is dead. I think to a large extent it is. I think, Fuentes coming out against Trump and saying what a disappointment he is enormous. And of course, on other levels, the warmongering continues, doesn't it? But Pete Hegseth last week saying that the Pentagon needs to be on a war footing. He's now the Secretary of War. I thought Trump was supposed to be a peace president.
Well, certainly isn't feeling very peaceful lately, Basil. And it's interesting that the Heritage Foundation has had to take a stand on this. I mean, I would almost expected them to remain quiet, but Kevin Roberts, who is their president, right, at Heritage, and anyway, he made a comment on air saying, basically, he spent like 2.5 minutes basically saying that, no, we're not going to distance ourselves from Tucker Carlson. Freedom of speech. And I think a lot of people were a little bit surprised. The comment string under that video was it's pretty spicy. It's got 32,000 likes and 7,500 comments on it.
And then he was forced to recant. That's the whole point,
Yeah.
I think he's continuing to sort of stand behind Tucker Carlson, but he apparently also made a video of clips of Nick Fuentes pointing out the awful things Nick Fuentes had said over the course of the last 10 years in a way that was fairly unscrupulous. It wasn't an accurate representation necessarily of Nick's views. I've actually been watching a bit more of Nick for the first time over the last couple of days, and what he said about black people, for example, and all the comments, the sort of, watch-alongs, the response videos by black people to what Nick Fuentes has said about black people have been 100% endorsing, often with humor, often with a reluctant shrug, and often with an honesty about the conversation of race, particularly in the United States, that has never been seen before. And black commentators like the Cartier family and others saying he's saying the things that we can't say. That's why he's popular.
Yeah, it's been interesting, man. The whole saga has been pretty interesting, actually. I watched some clips of Fuentes and Tucker together, and boy, did that make a lot of people upset that Tucker would even have him on, and that they were sort of able to bury the hatchet, and have their moment. Well, I thought you were a Fed. I thought you were a Fed. I found that to be highly entertaining.
Look at the way the Independent spun this. Look at this headline: White supremacist Nick Fuentes pleads with Tucker Carlson to tone down his anti-Semitism. You can't make this stuff up.
It's absolutely bonkers headline, isn't it?
That's going down. I'm saying that. Put that in the book. Put that one in the book.
Yeah, that definitely belongs in the book. No, it's been.
Of course, you can't be any kind of white identitarian without being a white supremacist, according to the corporate media, and that's one of the things that gets under Nick's skin so much, and to some extent gets under Tucker's skin as well. I think.
Well, yeah, this whole everybody that disagrees with me is a Nazi thing. This is like a holdover from 2015, 2016. And now that was a thing that used to be cast shade on sort of people lower down the food chain like us. It wasn't really ever aimed at these monolithic names. Candace, Tucker, Megyn Kelly, even getting some of that shade. And she's about as milquetoast as you could possibly be on this topic. Like
she's in arguably the sort of pivot position at the moment.
Yeah,
with Tucker on one side and Ben Shapiro on the other, and she spoke to both of them at different times last week. That Ben was trying to get her to denounce Tucker, and everything he stood for, which she refused to do. But that's one of the main tactics on that side, is that if you don't denounce people, outright and unequivocally, then you too will be cancelled. It's classic witch hunt.
Are we all expected to run around with a list of all the terrible things that various terrible people have said, and just like, okay, now before we begin, I just want you to know that I don't agree with X, Y. This is getting silly. Why is it always? Oh, it's always just about the one thing, isn't it? That's it. Nothing else matters. It's just got to be this one issue, right?
Well, that's right. I mean, Kevin Roberts said at the end of his public humiliation that he had forgotten that the number one job of the Heritage Foundation is to fill in the blank, combat anti-Semitism. That's the main job of the Heritage Foundation. Nothing to do with the Constitution, freedom of speech, or the border, or
what an epic 180. I mean, the Heritage Foundation took so much hatred from the mass media and from the left in the run up to Trump 2.0. They had that Project 2020 or Project 25 or whatever it was called.
That's right. That was Kevin Roberts' brainchild.
And people hated it. People on the left hated it. They just said, "Oh, this is the worst thing ever. These guys are doing all the planning for Donald Trump. It's all on these guys." It's like, if he would have stood his ground, if Heritage would have stood their ground, I would argue that they might have actually been able to cross the that Rubicon, right? Sort of that partisan Rubicon. Like they might have actually been able to pull some support from people on the other side, or at least opened up some conversations and stuff like that. But no, he went full backpedal, full. The shadows of Zion were too dark for Heritage, I suppose, to hang in there, because their original take was, hey, freedom of speech, but not anymore, I guess.
Well, amongst the remedies that's been proposed is that all the Heritage staffers go to Seder suppers. I believe that's the term, the Jewish supper on a Saturday night. And anybody who kind of, either doesn't want to go at all or looks or feels uncomfortable, they can be identified and kicked out. I don't know if you saw that. That came up this week.
Yeah, I did see that. I thought
that is really bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, that one runs really well in parallel. It dovetails nicely with Jimmy Dore's video, Zionist run Paramount to blacklist A-list actors.
Yes.
Yep. So now that Paramount is owned by Zionists, they have apparently a list of A-list actors that will not be eligible for acting gigs on their platform, I guess.
On their network. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I can't say I'm surprised in the slightest. I mean, to what extent do organizations, networks like Paramount still hold the key to what people want to watch? Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, I'm sure the actors and producers blacklisted by Paramount in much the same way as was the case in the 1950s can go and produce their own content. These people aren't as powerful as they think they are. They can be bypassed these days quite successfully.
Yeah, absolutely. Basil, did you see the interview with Matt Gaetz where he was talking about the I think he used the word demoralizing AIPAC receptions for where donors would go around and scan politicians?
Oh yeah.
they had to wear QR codes on them, like if they answered all the right questions in the Israeli struggle session. I guess this, somebody would scan their QR code and launch them, a few large, 10 large or something.
Yeah, I mean, the whole AIPAC thing is becoming increasingly toxic for US politicians. I mean, there's a seismic shift underway. It's a generational shift. You saw it in New York with the election of Mamdani, in spite of, all the usual suspects absolutely screaming at the top of their voices that this must not be allowed to happen. I mean, I've even seen since his election, stuff online about what is a max exodus from New York City going to look like? Because of course thousands of people said, if Mamdani wins, I'm leaving the city. Well, that isn't going to happen. Most people will realize that actually everything is going to stay very largely the same. There's a limit to what the mayor can do, and if he opens a few cheap supermarkets and manages to hold down rent, so what? But of course the big lesson for Republicans, and only Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running to become governor of Ohio, seemed to pick up on this, is that Mamdani ran a bubble on affordability, on the fact that for millions of people, the American dream is stone dead. You work 2 or 3 jobs to keep up with ever rising rent. You don't have any health care. And on top of that, whatever spare money the government have got, they ship it over to Israel so that they can continue massacring more women and children. That's the American dream these days, a total nightmare. And Mamdani ran on something else. Ironically, therefore, he is unarguably the most authentically American of all the candidates, in spite of the fact that everybody was trying to portray the fact that he was a Muslim and an immigrant as meaning that he couldn't possibly understand American values. Quite the opposite. He's really the embodiment of the American dream compared to the do-nothing status quo candidacy of Cuomo, who seems to, like most establishment Democrats, have absolutely no interest in improving the lives of ordinary Americans. So, the Democrats have got, a struggle for the soul of the party on their hands over the next couple of years. First the midterms in the summer, and then next summer, and then 2 years after that, of course, for the presidency. Because I think if they think they can run another continuity candidate for president and put up sort of CIA candidates and continuity candidates around the rest of the country, they're going to get quite a shock. There are quite a few people running against those continuity candidates. And of course, the AIPAC question is one of them. You get lots of money, you can carpet bomb your opponent with negative commercials if you take the AIPAC money. But at the same time, that looks increasingly like it might be more of a damnation than a blessing.
Figures political AIPAC money carpet bombing would be the metaphor you picked there. But yes, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's
it's slightly unfortunate that there are sort of awake and aware forces in both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party about the insidious influence of Israel. but they're not able to unify. Believe it or not, Fuentes and Mamdani actually have quite a lot in common, not just their opposition to Zionism, but also their sort of desire really to create an America that works for everybody, something that the two parties have signally failed to achieve over the last 35 years.
Yeah, with great intention, some might say. Adam, what's going on with Lindsey Graham? I see you inserted
Well,
a
check out the one after that. Check this other tweet since we're talking about Zoran Mamdani.
Oh, yeah, okay, there he is.
Who's that he's playing basketball with? Oh, that's cool.
Oh, Jelani. The absurdity is palpable. Al Jelani and Abdullah al-Shabani wanted terrorists casually shoot hoops with the head of the U.S. so-called anti-ISIS coalition. It's a perfect snapshot of the reality of the Syrian quote-unquote blessed revolution. Yeah, so there you go.
Now, the other one, though, is certainly an example of where our politicians, America first thinking politicians, this is where their head's at. That's an actual tweet from Lindsey Graham. You can't make this up.
Lindsey Graham says, "It is my understanding Ireland is about to make a motion to the European body governing soccer to ban Israel from playing in European soccer tournaments. Ireland and others would be punishing the Jewish people 80 years after the Holocaust because they chose to fight back against terrorist groups who wish to kill all the Jews. Hamas started this war. Hamas has put civilians at risk to continue this war, and Hamas is a radical Islamic outlaw that must be defeated militarily. If these attacks against Israel continue, I will do everything in my power to make those who participate in this effort to marginalize Israel in sports and elsewhere pay a heavy price when it comes to access to the American economy." Ooh, big words. From,
at least he used the word America in there once. That was fun.
Wow, yeah, exactly.
As Clint Russell, I caught this because Clint Russell on X shared this post, and he said, an American senator is threatening our European allies because they might ban the Israeli soccer team from European tournaments. Just take a minute and read that again. Literally, none of it has anything to do with America, nor is it even important at all. And then he says 100% owned by Israel, period.
Yeah. Well, the new president of Ireland is, Connolly is very sharp critic of Israel. And although it's, people say, largely ceremonial post, it does carry quite a lot of influence. So, it'll be interesting to see how she is greeted in the White House. Usually Irish presidents are warmly received, given the large Irish diaspora in the United States. I wonder whether she'll get the state visit treatment or not. But to Lindsey Graham, Tucker's got him in his crosshairs. He interviewed the leading candidate running against Graham for the Republican nomination. The primary is in June next year. A real America First Trump stalwart who has served in the first Trump administration. Brian Dance, I think his name is D-A-N-S. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you want to look that one up. He gave him a full interview last week, and they've really unloaded on the unfortunate 70-year-old he is now, looking for another 6 years. And Lindsey Graham, Tucker said that every time he meets him, he's charming and funny, but always drunk. And of course, that his politics are absolutely in the toilet these days. The other fellow came across quite well, and he's running hard because if whoever becomes the Republican nominee, you will almost certainly win the seat there in South Carolina.
Yeah. Here's something interesting. Paul Dans, a Republican, best known for. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that's him. Yeah, Paul Downs. Yeah.
Okay, so best known for leading Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's presidential transition project. So I think we already know what his stance is going to be if he's hanging in there with Heritage, I suppose.
Well, no, I mean, he's not an Israel firster, put it that way.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. No, he's from the genuine, original Heritage Foundation ethos. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why he's running against Lindsay. So,
okay,
yeah, he got on well with Tucker.
All right, interesting. Well,
Probably just lumped in with that white supremacist Nick Fuentes label thing, right?
Yes, I wouldn't call Paul Dans an anti-Zionist by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not as fanatical about the colony as his opponent, for example.
Yeah, so interesting guy there. Definitely, I'm going to be reading up a little bit more on him. But you can't do much worse than Lindsey Graham. I mean, honestly, like, do we really need to like read anything to wonder if someone's better than Lindsey Graham? Probably not.
No, I mean, what a dreadful human being. Tucker said he's a physical coward, as well. He really laid into him. Actually, it was this coruscating attack, and Paul Dans has Tucker's official endorsement, which, of course, Donald Trump has endorsed Lindsey Graham, but that shows where the battle lines are drawn these days.
He's only endorsed him so far. I mean, the people that he truly is buddies with, he's let them into his close inner circle. But I guess in order to become part of the current administration, you need to have served at least a partial stint on Fox News or something like that, right?
Well, Lindsey was one of the original Never Trump faction back in 2015. And then he saw which way the wind was blowing and decided to jump into bed with Donald Trump instead, because otherwise he would find himself marginalized and possibly losing his own seat. So he's gone from being, an opponent to Trump's fanboy, really, really sort of virtually worshipping the ground Donald walks on in a rather mawkish, some people would even say, curiously homoerotic kind of way.
Out of curiosity, Basil, do you remember or know why Lindsey Graham was so dead set against Trump becoming president?
Well, Trump made noises, didn't he, back in 2015 about what a disaster the Iraq war had been, and that was certainly one of them, because Lindsey was a big cheerleader, obviously. But why else? Please enlighten me.
Cool. Just curious.
Right.
That's probably it right there. I mean, that's a big one. Okay, let me for a moment here let everybody know that today at 21stcenturywire.com, the Sunday screening is called Israeli Settlers in the West Bank: What's Driving Their Ideology? So it's a documentary film before the October 7 attacks and the escalation of the Gaza war, and it investigates the Israeli settlement movement in the West Bank, one of the most contentious and obstructive forces in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So this documentary covers the history of Israeli settlement since 1967 and their role in preventing a Palestinian state. So I know a lot of you are going to be interested in this one. That's up on the front page at 21stcenturywire.com today. So that would be a good one to watch after the show if you want to get into a bit of a deep dive on the whole settler topic. I don't know if you've seen that one, Basil, but I know that you know a lot about this, and I know that this film is a couple of years old now. So and I just think about all the settler activity that's happened since this film came out, and it's just like, wow, it's hard to fathom what's been going on for so long.
Just this week a Christian village was attacked and burned. Have you seen them torturing the sheep as well?
Yeah,
that happened this week. Regularly killing animals, setting fire to cars, doing absolutely everything they can to make life as difficult as possible for the Palestinians. It's driven by Jewish supremacism, hatred, and a sort of really deranged groupthink of homicidal psychopathy. Really, there's no other way to describe it. So narcissistic that believe they can do no wrong, the settlers, that they think they've got the right to steal, kill, maim anybody that gets in their way. It's a particularly extreme form of religious fanaticism. And I think they're the most disgusting people in the world today.
Yeah.
Strong words, Basil.
Well, correct me where I'm wrong, please, Ruckus.
I won't. I can't.
I
I'm
can
on the
do.
exact same page as you, my friend. But the thing is, like, since we're on the topic here, the more egregious thing here in this case, because there's nothing we can do to change those people's minds. That this is foundationally a part of their belief, right? And part of it has to do with their propaganda that they're raised into from their country. Okay, it is a secular thing, but it's also strongly a religious thing. They firmly believe that they are God's chosen people. We understand this, but where it gets particularly egregious and dangerous on the world stage is when you have massive powers like the United States of America, the UK, and others who are acting on their behalf. By suckering in through a fake false teaching, a false religion, this idea of Christian Zionism. We moved well beyond the political thing. So it's okay if these people want to run around and act like God, that they're special. Okay, let them do that, whatever. We can't change their mind. But do you really need to drag us in and convince us too that they're special and that, hey, there's a sideways associate, look, Judeo-Christianism, wave our little Jedi hands and trick all these people in? Like, that's where it counts, and that's where the cord needs to get cut. We're never going to be able to like tackle the idea of whether that's an argument of religion, but you can prove on a religious foundational. I mean, if you're a Bible believing Christian, give me 10, 15 minutes and I can show you it's not in the Bible. It's not real. It doesn't exist. It was created out of thin air to further the advances of a secular state and an evil group of people that also are probably not even religious outside of maybe they believe in Satan or something. Who knows what these people really truly believe at the end of the day? I think they're high level Freemasonic 33rd degree Illuminati types that do weird stuff. Okay. I'm allowed to think that. Okay. But I don't need to be told that just because I'm a Christian that I have to support this group of people just because they think that they're chosen by God, the same God that I worship. None of this makes any sense, and they can't even prove it in their Bible. They have to create so many hoops to jump through and extrajudicial teachings, whatever the word is, outside of the Bible, outside of their holy rights to prove this point. Whereas you as an individual thinking person could just read the Bible from cover to cover and walk away from that with a clear understanding of what they're talking about when they talk about Israel in the future versus Israel in the past, and then how that all squares up with the Israel as a country, because they're all three completely separate identities. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but that's just me.
Yeah, no, you're right, and there's a reason why Alison Weir called her book about the creation of the State of Israel, or rather, sorry, the organization, If Americans Knew. The book is called Against Our Better Judgment, but the organization she runs is called If Americans Knew, because Americans are kept deliberately, very consciously ignorant of the historical context, the religious context, as well as the facts on the ground every day of the West Bank, or as the thieves like to call it, Judea and Samaria. Israel likes to operate in the dark. Louis Theroux, who I believe is Jewish, British documentary filmmaker, made that film about the settlers. And then a couple of weeks ago, he interviewed Bob Vylan, who, of course, was famous for his performance at Glastonbury Festival this year, where he called for the end to a murderous genocidal organization, the IDF, and for that was pilloried. And now his chief sponsor has pulled out of his podcast. That's Louis Theroux, and the BBC have been forced to distance themselves from him and say they have no plans to employ him in the future, partly because he made that documentary about the settlers, exposing just what an absolutely abysmal, well, that word isn't strong enough, evil crowd they are. And then also he dared to talk to Bob Vylan and allow Bob to speak his mind and put the record straight. Incidentally, Bob just won huge damages from a media organization. I think it might have been the Daily Mail, but correct me if I'm wrong, only last week, because they claimed that when he raised his arms, during a concert. He was doing a Nazi salute, but in fact, it was a meditation. It was a sort of bringing down the light meditation, and he won substantial damages. So fair play to Bob. But yeah, going back to the West Bank, people don't know about the daily horrors there. I mean, imagine if, for example, the pogrom that saw the attack on the Christian village last week, the church set on fire, and the attack on the sheep. Imagine if that was the first item on the CBS Evening News, and the first item on CNN, and all such attacks were reported with that degree of vigor. Well, obviously, support for the Zionist colony would disintegrate very quickly because people would see just how evil they are. But that isn't the case. You see, you have to really follow the subject. You have to know your stuff and really dig around to find out exactly what fresh horror there is in that part of the world every day.
Yeah, fresh horror indeed. Here's one from about 20 months ago or so. This was I'm gonna forgive the source here, but I'll do it anyways. Video shows Israelis filling Palestinians' water source with concrete.
Oh, well, you see, that's one of the old libels, poisoning the wells and things.
Yes, right.
That apparently is an old anti-Semitic trope. So I'm not sure what that's doing on screen. Maybe is that AI? Because they don't do that kind of thing, do they?
Well, believe it or not, Baz, this is coming from Snopes. They will tell you the truth always, right? That's what Snopes does. They're the fact checkers. And they say that this video circulated in March of 2024 showing Israelis filling a water well used by Palestinians with concrete marked as true. All right. And their source, Palestinian news outlet Quds News Network, first posted the footage in July 2023. So that's just, one little peek into what settlerism can bring people.
That's so nice of them. Concrete is good for you when you drink it. It's kind of like fluoride, right? You just add some concrete to your water.
Yeah, it's like dietary fiber is probably good for you, right?
I mean, just to I don't want to keep harping on about it, but it was only last year that the ICC confirmed its opinion that the occupation and the settlements in the West Bank are illegal. So really the entire international community should be putting unbelievable pressure on Israel to dismantle all the settlements, every single one, and withdraw to the 1967 borders and to end the occupation. But that unfortunately simply doesn't happen. Instead, we just get this, this slow moving status quo, this gradual erosion of Palestinian rights and land. Occasionally, the odd sort of mildly critical statement from London or Washington or Brussels or whatever, but nothing that will have any meaningful effect on the ground at all. And it's one of the reasons why people become so, a lot of people are so disillusioned, so depressed, to be honest, about the state of the world, and that particular part of the world, especially because we've had over the last couple of years the biggest mass murder since the Second World War. I mean, you could argue that in terms of deliberate murder, even outstrips that, and yet at the same time, well, we're now seeing, and so this is another topic I've got to go in a second, but we're now seeing a very deliberate attempt in this country as well as the United States to marginalize, pigeonhole, downplay all references to the Gaza Holocaust. Robert Inklakesh had 700 videos of abuse of Palestinians and scenes of murder and things wiped off YouTube, and his channel closed in one fell swoop last week. And then his Gmail account was closed simultaneously. Well, journalists in Britain have been harassed. There's a journalist currently in an ICE detention facility in the United States, a British journalist. I can't remember his name. I think it's Sammy something or other. he was on a speaking tour in the United States, visiting California and Florida. He was detained by ICE agents at San Francisco. He had a valid visa. It was immediately revoked. He was accused of inciting support for terrorists, Hamas, and whisked off to a detention center. This is somebody traveling on a British passport. There you go.
Yep.
So there's, concerted attempt now that the so-called ceasefire is in place to kind of erase from history what's happened, make light of it, continue to push it down the news index, denigrate people who want to speak up about it as having kind of failed to move on. You know what I mean? All this kind of the usual kind of denial, and as well as more sort of vicious outright attacks on anybody expressing solidarity for the Palestinian people or criticizing Israel. But the cat is out of the bag. This is the key thing. People can see what's going on now. Anybody other than the sort of lowest of low information consumer of corporate media is well aware of what's gone on and the wider power structure that continues to support it. I don't think there's ever been a time where on both sides of the pond, and we've talked about this many times on this show, where people have been so aware of just how what's the right word? Corrupt isn't the right word. I've got to use the word evil again. The fundamental power structure, the Anglo-American Zionist power structure, also with a leg in Brussels and one in Berlin and all the rest of it, that props up the fake world order that we live in, just how evil it is. People got some insight through the whole COVID farrago, and now they've had another insight into it. Of course, a lot of people who saw through it during COVID hate Muslims so much that a lot of the so-called freedom movement, that they go along with Zionism, and that's another plank of what's the latest Hasbro propaganda campaign. The Israelis realize it's very difficult to make Israel look good, so instead they'll just try and make Muslims look worse and and shove that down people's throats as well. A huge Islamophobia push by their agents here in the UK and over in the States as well.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's see here. Basil, I know you got to go soon. We're going to wind down. Do you have time for one more clip, Basil?
Sure.
All right, let's see what we got here. This is taken from part of the BBC documentary, The Settlers, which Basil has mentioned here. I'm going to put that on the screen and we'll take a listen here. I think I have to unmute and refresh.
And I do this.
Yep.
Do something. You don't mind what I did to you. You don't necessarily have to do.
Well, I won't do that to you.
You won't.
No.
And then the camera takes just part.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the full picture. Settlers do not wake up in the morning or do not go wait for sundown to attack. No, 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 no. Why should we wake up in the morning and think about violence? Why? Our life is good.
Because you want the Palestinians to leave.
No, 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 no.
You've said so.
I said that what is on my mind all the time is how to bring more people to settle the land. This is a new development by Jews. This is Har Bracha. This is Itzhar. Here we can develop. Here we cannot develop. I never think in terms of. I know this is beta.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about beta.
Why not?
Because I think about. I'm a Jew.
The people.
I'm a settler.
The people.
I'm a human being.
Yes, you are. So are they.
So I do not think about this.
You're thinking about tribalism, thinking of your own people to the exclusion. It would be understandable to think of your own people or your own children first, but to think about other people, other children, not at all, that seems sociopathic.
I can...
Doesn't it?
No, not at all. This is normal. I hope you push me back. And I do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she would have liked to have been pushed back, I guess. Quite the display there, you guys.
Yeah, that wasn't the worst of it either. That was Daniela Weiss, the leader of the settler movement. They want to colonize Gaza. You know, I mean, I think the population of Gaza has been reduced to about 40% of what was previously the Strip, which is itself a fraction of the total area that it was 50 years ago. It's been gradually encroached upon. And yeah, I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen there. We do know that only a tiny fraction of the aid that was supposedly agreed under the ceasefire has been delivered, something like 150 trucks a day, when more like 700 was the original agreement. So the sadism continues. You know, the people say, oh, but there's a ceasefire now, though. Genocide is over. No, the rate of the mechanical extermination of Palestinian people has temporarily slowed, is the way I would put it. But the extermination nevertheless continues.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing with, like, when she pushes him and says, you know, at the end, I wish you would have pushed me back, like, that's signifying, like, if she pushed him first, right? There's sort of a metaphor for the situation. She pushes him first. He pushes back, because that's what happens when you're a human, generally speaking, right? That's one of about 2 or 3 options of things that could happen. And then what? And then she goes absolutely nuts on him, cries in
That's
pain.
right.
How dare you strike me? I'm a victim. And then now I will destroy you.
That's right. Now I will cut your head off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we see where she's going with that. And of course, he didn't take the bait there. Of course, he's like, no, I'm not going to push you, you know. And then she goes on that crazy tirade, and it's just like, I'm a human. I am a human. Okay, you're the human here, but you don't care about the other humans that live down there. Someone make it make sense.
Right. That's the other part that's missing from your analogy, Hesher, is that before she started this pushing match, she goes and enters without, permission or, announcing herself into this person's home, just lets herself in and pushes him and says, aren't you going to push me back?
With a gun. Let's not forget, armed entry into a home. Come into your home with a gun, open your fridge, make a sandwich, do whatever they want, right? And then if you push back, well, you're victimizing them. That's how that works. That's the dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, these people are a very serious problem, for the whole world, really, because the Greater Israel Project says they don't just want Judea and Samaria, they want Jordan and a chunk of Lebanon and a bigger chunk of Syria and goodness knows where else,
Wait, this is going to keep going past this whole thing that we've seen already with Gaza and they want more?
It's gone on for our entire lifetimes. So, only a very, very strong-willed international community and a complete sea change in the attitude of the United States will see any kind of meaningful containment. It's worth remembering that one of John F. Kennedy's stated aims was to impose a permanent settlement on the Middle East. One of the reasons why they got rid of him, he wanted to impose fixed borders on Israel, and obviously they weren't going to have that. So, boom.
Yeah. And here again, we've got a journalist doing journalism, and now their career is wrecked simply for reporting facts, talking to people.
Yeah, I mean, and there's another journalist, Italian journalist in the week, asked simply for asking the question of an EU official, should Israel be made to pay for the reconstruction of Gaza, seeing as you want to make Russia pay for the reconstruction of Ukraine and are in fact going to use sequestered Russian funds to do so. For asking that question and pointing out the hypocrisy, he was fired. Yeah,
amazing.
That was last week as well. So
amazing. And
yeah,
let's not forget also on this program just 2 weeks ago, I think we showed the footage of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner talking about how they had like settler plans basically for the area for years
Many
now.
years.
Many years, I believe, was the quote.
Yeah.
What do you got
Yeah.
there, Ruckus?
The story about the journalist who was let go after asking that question.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Gabrielle Nunziata, Brussels-based reporter, covered the EU for Rome's Nova agency, told The Intercept he received notice that he would lose his job barely a month after he became a correspondent. So it's like you just, I'm like, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, some of these people's careers are ruined before they even begin. You know what I mean? It's so sad.
No, it really is. You want to do real journalism? Well, you may just get canceled before you even come anywhere close to reaching escape velocity.
And there's a bizarre twist of events here in the UK as well, with a chap called Rafi Berg, who's a kind of gatekeeper for Israel at the BBC. In fact, he's photographed with a copy of Netanyahu's book and a photograph of him behind him. And he sort of filters all the BBC's coverage of the war, the genocide. And Owen Jones, the journalist, wrote a particularly coruscating article in which Jones references a number of BBC journalists who are complaining about the way this individual has distorted coverage of the genocide. And he now claims that he feels threatened. He felt threatened, that he was the victim of death threats, and he's suing Jones for libel for a very large sum of money, which I was very, very surprised to see. I was frankly flabbergasted, because it's not very difficult. The Media Lens have done so to point out the BBC's institutional anti-Palestinian bias. So I'm not quite sure where that one's going to go.
Yeah. Basil, question from the audience for you. Basil, how about the pictures of the awful Yvette Cooper visiting the handful of quote unquote brave Gazan children in a UK hospital? Did you see that? Any comments on that?
No, I haven't seen it. She was Home Secretary at the time the Palestine Action was banned. As always in politics these days, serving the empire and failing are rewarded. So she's now Foreign Secretary, taking over from that fat imbecile David Lammy. I think, it's kind of it's just sort of a sop, really, to say, oh, look, we do, we care about a tiny handful of children from Gaza. We don't care about the fact that 250,000 or 300,000 have been slaughtered by our ally. But look what a wonderful, sympathetic person I am, says Yvette Cooper, being photographed with some poor limbless individuals, tiny, infinitesimally small fraction of the total number of amputees amongst children,
Right.
So I haven't seen that in particular. I generally try and consume as little corporate output as possible and avoid ministers and their antics. I find it too upsetting. They're all total scum as far as I'm concerned. And it looks like the head of the scum, the froth on the top of that you get on scum, Keir Starmer, might be on his way. He's too repulsive even for the scum underneath him. And so unpopular with the British people. One poll last week had the Green Party under its anti-Zionist Jewish leader, Zach Polanski, or at least he's sharply critical of Israel. Whether or not he actually would go so far as to say he wants to see it dismantled is another matter. But he's certainly, of prominent UK politicians, the most critical of Israel. And he's now leader of the Green Party. And they're polling at 18% in the polls, with Labour on 16%. And that could be the death sentence for Starmer, who is really despised by large sections of the British people in a way that even outstrips the degree to which Blair was despised. It's hard to fathom, Or Boris Johnson. There was a very, very strong coterie of people that really, really hated him as well. But Starmer seems to unite hate. He seems to manages to combine a bland, insipidity, total colorlessness, lack of any real personality, gravitas, intellectual weight, or any other of the qualities that you would like to see in a prime minister. He manages to combine, or any human being for that matter, he manages to combine all that with being a particularly nasty individual as well, with being sort of vindictive and small-minded and petty. And obviously it's a particularly toxic brew, and there are whispers among Labour MPs that he's going to have to go, and they're talking about the mechanism for removing him, because of course in Britain you can remove the leader of a political party without having a general election. There can be a coup within the Palace of Westminster, and it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, not that anybody who replaces him from the Labour ranks would be, in any way better, but at least he'd be out of the way, and that would be a good thing, because he deserves every humiliation he gets.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's going to be more to come too. Terry Miller, anyone notice Trump's hair looks more and more like Boris Johnson's? Okay, Terry. Yep. You may be onto something there. All right, you guys, we're probably about ready to shut down here. Basil, do you have any other, betting suggestions or stories you want to make sure we cover before we get out of here?
Maybe next time. I hadn't done the research on the betting. I won a few quid today. We're into the jump season now, so when I come on, I'll try and put something up for the big races, for the old Hennessy Gold Cup, the King George, and all that. But no, nothing today. I mean, 2026. I remember putting up Biden. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 2026, political betting and predictions.
Too early to call at this point, I think. Too early to call, really.
Yeah, we got a lot of adventures between now and then.
We really have, yeah. Kamala says she's going to run again. I mean, some people never learn,
Basil, what do you got? What are your odds that we will see a fake alien invasion before World War III?
A fake alien invasion as opposed to a real one before World War III. Well, I hope I don't live long enough to see either. I don't want to see a fake invasion. I'd rather have a real one, as long as it's the good guys. And I certainly don't want to see World War III. I would actually say that at the moment, World War III is more likely, isn't it? I mean, I think you'd have to go 6-4 on World War III, and no, even shorter. I'd probably go 5 or 6 to 1 on World War III. That means giving World War III a sort of 70-80% chance of happening before any fake invasion.
All right.
I would rather see World War III before fake alien invasion.
I don't say I'd rather see it. I think it's more likely.
There you go. Okay.
I'll say it, because the ramifications of the fake alien invasion could be far worse.
Well, not if we all go up in smoke, not if we're all reduced to lithium or whatever.
Well, we were watching that video. Chances are under a World War III, we'll just be all forced to stay inside our houses and stay tuned to CNN and Fox News, right, Hesher?
Duck and cover. Don't forget to duck and cover.
Duck and cover, yes. Hide under the kitchen table.
Right. Okay, Basil, give us a shout out to where people can find you this week.
Well, they can't really. This is probably my sole appearance this week. I will be back with a new show on Unprecedented TV called Current Affairs, and it's going to be a weekly show. I was doing a daily show. It was rather like getting up every morning and charging headfirst into a brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go to doing a weekly show, which I think will be more manageable. It might debut this week, if not the week after, and I'll let you know. That'll be Current Affairs, and it'll be on YouTube and X.
All right. Excellent. Thanks so much, Basil. Appreciate you taking the time to join us. I always love your analysis and reporting.
Thank you.
All right. Basil. That's Basil Valentine. Ruckus, over to you.
Or is it Basil? I mean, here in America, we would say Basil.
Right.
Final thought. I don't. Yeah, I'm just. I have a really big saved round that I'm going to repurpose somewhere else because it's really on my mind about this Christian Zionism thing. So I'd like to do a little Ruckus special take breakdown on that thing. But I would like to, leave everybody with the impression, understand this, that I've been able to prove this for myself. So there's no reason why you all shouldn't be able to prove this for yourselves, especially if you're a Christian, but also if you're just interested in understanding what is the ideology, what is the foundation of what we're witnessing here with this whole Zionism thing and all of the terrible things that we're witnessing happening involving that secular country, Israel. But I officially believe that Christian Zionism in particular it's a heresy, a modern heresy. It's backed by a 19th century false prophet, specifically, namely, one Cyrus Ingersoll Schofield, C.I. Schofield. You've heard the Schofield name, the Schofield Bible. He was a person who died, by the way, on my birthday in 1921. I guess he was born August 19th, 1843, died July 24th, 1921. But yeah, it's because of the teachings of this one person, not because of Scripture, not the Bible, not Scripture, that this heresy has been propagated throughout modern age, okay? It directly, literally contradicts everything that the New Testament in your Bible, if you're a Christian, that's what your faith is supposed to be based on. It has a set of clear teaching and principles and ideas in there in the New Testament, okay? Instead, this Christian Zionism thing, again, a heresy backed by a false prophet, as far as I'm concerned, it's produced nothing but moral blindness, spiritual bondage, and of course, it's perpetrated some of the worst atrocities that we've seen in our lifetimes on our Twitter feeds, Hesher. So yeah, I encourage everybody to do a deep dive into the heresy that is Christian Zionism. Again, especially if you are a professing Christian. With that being said, don't forget to read everything, listen to everybody, but don't believe anything, including what I just told you, unless you can prove it for yourself with your own research. Thanks for having me. Ruckus out.
All right. Thanks, Ruckus. And thank you for being with us. Really appreciate all the comments and everything from the live audience today. Wonderful to be here with you on Rumble, X, BitChute, YouTube, all the places and all the things. If you want to support our work, you can go to 21stcenturywire.com and you'll see the support link in the upper menu up there. You can also go to alternatecurrentradio.com. We've got a support page up there. We've got Patreon and PayPal, which we call the swear jar. We got a merch store, all that good stuff. So go to alternatecurrentradio.com/support to learn more. And that's it for this episode of Sunday Wire. We'll go out with some Joseph Arthur here, and we will see you again next week for another edition of Sunday Wire. Take care. All the best.
Gratitude, the antidote. The world is built on fear. The evil world we live in wants our soul to disappear. But gratitude, salvation, and never-ending light that transcends all the darkness trying to hold us to the night. Thoughts say what is missing. Thank you says what's here. Thoughts keep us unconscious. Thank you makes it clear. Back into the moment, the vast eternal now, where God is always with us and hold it like a cow, like a sunrise or a child or a garden full of roses. The mind misses the magic and considers all the poses. Why our thoughts against us, principalities are there, whispering indifference on foundations of despair. So thank you is my mantra, mantra. Na 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 na. Thank you is my mantra, mantra. Who set up this funhouse, this journey for our soul, where most never make it and lose all their control? How do we get back any sovereignty from the lies of demons that we pretend to be? Thank you is a pass to a place outside of hell. Gratitude and presence will lift us where we fell, but we have to make a practice to come back into now, in the garden of our gratitude, and push that ancient plow. I don't know the reason we are in a holy war, how we ever come back to who we were before. Did it did start in Eden with an apple and a snake. Since then, have we been falling with this battle as our fate? So thank you is my mantra, mantra. Na 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 na. Thank you is my mantra, mantra. The world will light us, and so will our minds. So will our minds. Whatever is the reason, this is where we are. The light and the darkness all aiming for our heart. The light wants us present in the clutch of gratitude. The darkness wants us scattered with an evil attitude. And we look at the thinking that justifies the course. We see it's thought itself that brings on the divorce. From the Holy Spirit, from revelations bloom, from the love of God to the darkness of the tomb. Voices of all demons we identify as us, and then we follow lies, the wrong voices that we trust. Take us to destruction, take us to despair, when the gift of God himself has always just been here. So thank you is my mantra, mantra. Na 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 na. Thank you is my mantra, mantra. Thank you is my mantra, mantra. Na 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 na. Thank you is my mantra, mantra. Is my mantra, mantra.